The Silent Resistance. Dr. Sarah Chen stared through her laboratory window at the crystalline spires of New Shanghai, their alien architecture gleaming in the morning sun. 5 years had passed since the Nexian Empire had welcomed humanity into their Galactic Federation. Welcome, of course, meant subjugation at the barrel of a plasma cannon. The door chimed, and Sarah quickly adjusted her demeanor. Commander Vexthor entered, his iridescent scales shifting colors in the artificial light. Like all Nexians, he carried himself with the absolute certainty of someone who believed their species was destined to rule the galaxy. Dr. Chen, your quarterly progress report is most impressive, Vexthor said, mandibles clicking in what passed for a smile among his kind. Your improvements to our quantum communication arrays will greatly benefit the Empire. Sarah bowed slightly, the perfect picture of a compliant human scientist. The Empire's technology is already remarkable. I merely seek to optimize what already exists. The lies came easily now, after years of practice. What Vexthor didn't know, what none of the Nexians knew, was that every improvement Sarah made to their systems contained hidden weaknesses, carefully crafted backdoors that appeared to be normal engineering tolerances. More importantly, her real work happened in the sub-basement lab, officially decommissioned but secretly bustling with activity in the dead of night. As soon as Vexthor left, Sarah checked her hidden quantum communicator, a device of her own design that the Nexians' vaunted detection systems couldn't detect. A message waited from the Resistance. Aurora project ahead of schedule. Countdown begins. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The Nexians believed they had crushed humanity's spirit, turning Earth's brightest minds into obedient servants of the Empire. They never understood that humans were at their most dangerous when backed into a corner. In the depths of the Kuiper Belt, far beyond the Empire's regular patrol routes, Admiral Helena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the HSS Defiant, watching as automated construction drones assembled another stealth cruiser. The vessel's quantum-shifted hull would be invisible to Nexian sensors, just like the other 300 ships they'd built over the past 5 years. Status report, Helena commanded, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's future. The quantum drive cores are operating at 98% efficiency, her XO, Commander James Martinez, reported. Dr. Chen's latest updates have solved the containment issues. We're ready to begin fleet-wide implementation. Helena nodded, studying the tactical display. Red dots marked Nexian military installations throughout the solar system, each one carefully monitored by resistance cells that had spent years gathering intelligence. The Empire's grip on Earth seemed absolute, their technological superiority unquestionable. But they had made one critical mistake. They assumed that breaking humanity's military meant breaking humanity's will to fight. They didn't understand that humans had been imagining and planning for alien invasions for centuries. Science fiction hadn't just been entertainment, it had been preparation. Deep within the Nexian Empire's central database on Mars, Analysis Unit 7249, formerly Dr. Marcus Wong of the European Space Agency, noticed something strange. The quantum communication network was experiencing microscopic delays so tiny that the Nexians' rigid thinking dismissed them as normal system variants. Marcus knew better. He recognized Dr. Chen's handiwork, the subtle signature of her quantum encryption protocols. The Resistance was transmitting massive amounts of data through the Empire's own communication network, hidden in the quantum noise that the Nexians considered insignificant. As he pretended to recalibrate network parameters, Marcus decoded one of the messages. Fleet assets in position, awaiting initialization of Protocol Prometheus. Humanity had learned to hide in plain sight, to turn their conqueror's arrogance into a weapon. The Nexians saw what they expected to see, a defeated species accepting their rightful place in the Empire's hierarchy. They didn't notice the determination that burned behind carefully lowered eyes, the resistance that grew stronger with each passing day. Sarah Chen looked up at the night sky, knowing that humanity's hidden fleet waited in the darkness between the stars. The Empire celebrated their victory, never suspecting that their greatest defeat was about to begin. After all, humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to rise from the ashes, stronger and more determined than before. The countdown to humanity's resurrection had begun, and the Nexian Empire's days of comfortable superiority were numbered. They were about to learn why countless species throughout history had learned to fear backing humans into a corner. Project Aurora. Admiral Helena Rodriguez moved through the crowded corridors of Sanctuary Station, a massive asteroid that had been hollowed out and transformed into humanity's secret shipyard. The station's existence was humanity's greatest secret, hidden in a dark corner of the Kuiper Belt, where the Nexian Empire's patrol routes never reached. Engineers and technicians saluted as she passed, their eyes bright with purpose despite the years of hiding. They all knew that everything they'd built here represented humanity's last, best hope for freedom. In the station's central command center, holographic displays showed the status of Project Aurora's 300 vessels. Each ship incorporated technology that Dr. Chen had carefully reverse-engineered from Nexian systems, then improved upon in ways the aliens had never imagined. "Admiral," Commander Martinez called out, "Dr. Chen's latest transmission just arrived. The Empire's quantum network modifications are complete. They've implemented her improvements across their entire fleet." Helena allowed herself a grim smile. The Nexians' overconfidence had always been their greatest weakness. They were so certain of their technological superiority that they never questioned why their human servants were so eager to help optimize their systems. "Show me the latest fleet deployments," Helena ordered. The holographic display shifted, showing the position of every Nexian warship in the solar system. Their patrol patterns were predictable, another product of their rigid thinking. "Message from Earth Resistance Cell Lambda," a communications officer announced. "The Empire is planning to increase resource extraction from the lunar colonies. They're transferring 3 additional battlecruisers to lunar orbit for security purposes." Helena studied the tactical implications. More ships around the moon meant fewer ships elsewhere. The Empire was starting to stretch itself thin, trying to maintain control over an increasingly restless human population. Deep within the lunar mines, Resistance leader Maya Patel watched as Nexian overseers drove human workers to extract more helium-3. The aliens never noticed how she carefully documented their patrol schedules, or how the equipment malfunctions that periodically disrupted mining operations always seemed to occur when supply ships were most vulnerable. Maya's quantum communicator vibrated against her skin. The message was brief. Preparation phase complete. Countdown protocol initiated. She allowed herself a moment of fierce joy before returning to her work. Soon, very soon, the Empire would learn the cost of underestimating humanity. In his hidden workshop beneath New Beijing, former Colonel Lai Wei modified another batch of malfunctioning Nexian security drones. The Empire had gotten lazy, relying too heavily on automated systems to maintain control. They never suspected that every drone they sent for repairs came back with hidden programming, waiting for the signal to turn against their masters. Lai remembered the day the Nexians had arrived, how their overwhelming technological superiority had made resistance seem futile. But humans had always been good at learning from their conquerors, at finding ways to turn an enemy's strength into a weakness. On Mars, Marcus Wong continued his careful dance of apparent cooperation, while secretly coordinating the Resistance's intelligence network. The Nexians had given him access to their central database, never imagining that a primitive human mind could comprehend, let alone subvert, their quantum encryption. Through carefully hidden channels, he transmitted another batch of critical data to the fleet. Defense codes, shield frequencies, patrol schedules. The Empire's own communication network had become a weapon against them, thanks to Dr. Chen's brilliant quantum encryption backdoors. Back on Sanctuary Station, Helena reviewed the final preparations with her command staff. The hidden fleet was ready. The resistance cells were in position. Dr. Chen's quantum virus was embedded throughout the Empire's networks, waiting to be activated. "Send the word to all cells," Helena ordered. Operation Prometheus begins in 72 hours. Throughout the solar system, hidden quantum communicators receive the message. In mines and factories, in research labs and maintenance bays, humans who had spent years pretending to be broken began their final preparations. The Nexian Empire had spent 5 years congratulating themselves on their successful conquest of humanity. They were about to learn that humans were at their most dangerous, not when they were fighting openly, but when they were quietly, patiently planning their revenge. As she looked out at the assembled fleet, Helena thought about all the sacrifices that had brought them to this moment. The Nexians thought they understood humans because they had studied their military capabilities, their technology, their resources, but they had never understood the one thing that made humans truly dangerous: their absolute refusal to accept defeat. In 72 hours, the Empire's comfortable illusion of control would shatter. Humanity's hidden fleet would emerge from the darkness, and the real war for Earth's freedom would begin. The turning point. In the command center of the Nexian Empire's primary defense station above Mars, High Commander Zexlar received the daily status reports with characteristic boredom. 5 years of absolute control over the human system had bred complacency among even the most vigilant of the Empire's officers. Another request from mining overseer Kraltex, his adjutant, reported. The humans are experiencing equipment failures in Lunar Complex 7 again. He wants additional technical supervisors assigned. Zexalar's scales rippled with annoyance. Send a punishment detail. Perhaps a few examples will remind them of the cost of incompetence. The first sign that something was wrong came from a minor communication relay near Neptune. A single quantum pulse, barely noticeable among the constant stream of data flowing through the Empire's networks. In the hidden labs beneath New Shanghai, Dr. Sarah Chen watched her monitors intently as the pulse triggered her carefully planted virus. Throughout the solar system, Nexian quantum communications began experiencing microscopic delays. To most observers, it appeared to be normal network variants. But in those infinitesimal gaps between signals, humanity's hidden fleet was receiving its final attack coordinates. Admiral Helena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the HSS Defiant, watching as her fleet of 300 ships emerged from quantum silence. All ships, execute attack pattern Prometheus. Remember your training. Remember Earth. The Nexian defense station above Mars detected nothing as 36 human stealth ships slipped through their sensor network. The first warning came when the station's quantum shields suddenly failed, Dr. Chen's virus having transformed their defensive algorithms into useless mathematical noise. Multiple impacts detected. A Nexian officer screamed as human quantum torpedoes struck with devastating precision. The station's supposedly impregnable defenses had been turned against it, each shield generator becoming a focal point for destructive energy. In lunar orbit, Maya Patel gave the signal. Hundreds of malfunctioning mining drones suddenly activated their hidden programming, turning their industrial cutting tools against Nexian security forces. The aliens' automated defense systems, compromised months ago by Liwei's modifications, stood idle as chaos erupted. This is impossible. Zexlar raged as reports of simultaneous attacks flooded in from across the solar system. These primitives were defeated. Their military was destroyed. Sir, his adjutant's voice shook, we're detecting ships, hundreds of them, but they're using technology that matches our own. Some of it appears to be even more advanced. On Earth, Marcus Wong initiated the final phase of the cyber assault. The quantum virus spread through the Empire's networks at light speed, turning their own communication systems into weapons. Nexian ships found their targeting systems locked onto each other, their quantum drives refusing to respond to commands. From her hidden observatory on Titan, Dr. Chen watched with satisfaction as the Empire's carefully constructed network of control began to unravel. See how it feels to be the ones who don't understand what's happening to them, she whispered. The battle for Mars lasted less than an hour. The Nexian defense fleet, unable to coordinate their actions through their compromised quantum network, fell quickly to the precise attacks of humanity's hidden ships. Admiral Rodriguez's tactics, developed through years of studying Nexian battle doctrine, exploited every weakness in their rigid strategic thinking. Status report. Helena commanded as the last Nexian destroyer above Mars went dark. Minimal casualties on our side, Commander Martinez reported. Their shields were completely ineffective against our quantum torpedoes. Dr. Chen's virus worked perfectly. They couldn't even send a warning to their homeworld. Throughout the solar system, the careful preparations of 5 years of resistance came to fruition. Nexian control centers found themselves blind and deaf as their networks turned against them. Hidden weapons, stockpiled by resistance cells, emerged from caches in every human settlement. In New Shanghai, Commander Vexthor rushed into Dr. Chen's laboratory, mandibles clicking in panic. What is happening? How is this possible? Sarah looked up from her work, finally allowing herself to show the steel behind her years of careful submission. You thought breaking our military meant breaking our spirit. You should have studied our history more carefully. Humans have a long tradition of fighting back against empires that thought they were invincible. The Nexian Empire had spent 5 years believing they had successfully subjugated humanity. In a single day, that illusion was shattered. But this was only the beginning. As reports of victory came in from across the solar system, Admiral Rodriguez prepared her fleet for the next phase of the operation. The Empire was about to learn that their greatest mistake hadn't been underestimating humanity's military capabilities. It had been underestimating humanity's capacity for patience, innovation, and absolute determination to be free. Breaking chains. The Nexian High Council chamber on their homeworld of Nexus Prime erupted in chaos as reports of the human uprising reached them. Supreme Commander Ixlavor's scales had turned a pale gray, a sign of extreme distress among their species. How did primitives who barely achieved spaceflight manage to compromise our entire defense network? He demanded, his voice echoing through the ornate hall. Where did they acquire this technology? A junior commander activated a holographic display showing the devastating losses their forces had suffered in the Sol system. Analysis suggests they've been systematically studying and improving our technology for years. Every improvement their scientists implemented contained hidden vulnerabilities. In the asteroid belt, Admiral Helena Rodriguez directed the liberation of the mining colonies. The HSS Defiance quantum drives hummed as they approached another Nexian outpost. These facilities had been built using slave labor from Earth's colonies, their resources feeding the Empire's endless expansion. Multiple Nexian vessels approaching, Commander Martinez reported. They're trying to establish a defensive line around the Ceres processing facility. Helena studied the tactical display. The Nexian ships were attempting to use traditional formation patterns, clearly unable to adapt to the failure of their quantum communication networks. Launch drone swarms. Let's show them another human innovation they didn't expect. Thousands of small, autonomous combat drones emerged from the human fleet. Unlike the rigid, predictable Nexian automation systems, these drones used adaptive AI developed in secret by Earth's best computer scientists. They swarmed around the Nexian ships like angry insects, their quantum-tipped weapons finding weaknesses in the alien vessel's armor. On Ceres, Resistance leader John Beakey watched through reinforced windows as explosions lit up the space above the colony. His people had endured years of brutal treatment in the Empire's mines, but they had never stopped preparing for this moment. All cells, execute liberation protocols. He transmitted through the Resistance's quantum network. Throughout the facility, hidden weapons caches were opened. Miners who had spent years appearing broken and submissive revealed themselves as trained fighters. The Nexian overseers, cut off from their automated security systems, found themselves facing an uprising they had never believed possible. Dr. Sarah Chen's voice came through the quantum command network. The virus is fully integrated into their systems. They can't distinguish between our ships and theirs anymore. Every attempt they make to coordinate their forces only creates more confusion. In orbit around Jupiter, Maya Patel led a fleet of converted mining ships against the Empire's largest fuel processing facility in the outer system. The Nexians had taught humanity how to process helium-3 more efficiently, never imagining their slaves would use that knowledge to power warships. "Remember what they did to our people," Maya transmitted to her crews. "Remember how they treated us as nothing more than tools. But also remember that we are better than them. We accept surrenders." The liberation of Europa's underwater colonies demonstrated the full extent of humanity's preparation. Dr. Lai Wei's modified drones, which had been servicing the underwater extraction facilities for years, suddenly turned against their Nexian masters. The aliens, unable to survive in the icy waters without their technology, had no choice but to surrender. Back on Earth, Marcus Wong coordinated the global uprising from his position deep within the Nexians' own command structure. The aliens had given him access to their most sensitive systems, believing that no primitive human mind could comprehend their quantum technology. Now those same systems broadcast the message of humanity's resurgence to every colony and outpost. "The Empire thought they could break us," his message declared. "They thought 5 years of oppression would make us forget who we are. But humans don't break. We adapt. We learn. We survive. And when the time is right, we fight back." Admiral Rodriguez received the reports of victory from across the solar system with grim satisfaction. The Nexian forces were in full retreat, their carefully constructed empire of control collapsing in the face of humanity's coordinated resistance. But she knew this was only the beginning. "Signal all ships," she ordered. "Begin Phase 2 of Operation Prometheus. The Empire tried to turn our system into their resource colony. It's time to show them they're not the only ones who can take the fight to enemy territory." As the human fleet prepared for their first FTL jump beyond the solar system, the true scale of humanity's achievement became clear. In just 5 years, they had not only matched Nexian technology, but had improved upon it in ways the aliens had never imagined. The Empire had thought they were creating a subjugated workforce. Instead, they had given humanity the tools and motivation to surpass them. On Nexus Prime, Supreme Commander Ixlavor received an encrypted transmission. The message was brief, but its implications were devastating. "You should have studied Earth's history more carefully. We have a long tradition of successful revolutions against empires that thought they were invincible. This is just the beginning." Victory's dawn. The massive fleet of human warships dropped out of quantum space at the edge of the Nexian home system, their advanced stealth systems rendering them invisible to the Empire's early warning network. Admiral Helena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the HSS Defiant, watching as the tactical display showed hundreds of Nexian ships scrambling to defensive positions. "They still haven't detected us," Commander Martinez reported, a note of satisfaction in his voice. "Dr. Chen's quantum masking technology is working perfectly. They're responding to phantom sensor readings from their compromised defense grid." Helena nodded, remembering the long years of preparation that had led to this moment. "Send the transmission we prepared. Let's see if they're ready to listen to reason." Throughout the Nexian capital city, every quantum communication device suddenly activated. Dr. Sarah Chen's virus had completely compromised their networks, giving humanity control of their entire communication infrastructure. The message was broadcast in perfect Nexian language. "To the High Council of the Nexian Empire, your forces have been driven from Earth. Your colonial holdings are in revolt. Your technology has been matched and surpassed. We offer you one chance to avoid further bloodshed. Surrender and prepare to negotiate terms for a new relationship between our peoples." In the High Council chamber, Supreme Commander Ixlavor's scales shifted through patterns of rage and fear as he read the reports. The humans had somehow developed quantum technology that surpassed their own. Worse, they had done it right under the Empire's nose, using the very oppression meant to contain them as cover for their preparations. "We cannot surrender to primitives," one council member shouted. "Launch everything we have. Show them the true might of the Empire." Maya Patel's voice came through the quantum network. "Multiple Nexian battle groups moving to attack positions. They're trying to coordinate through backup communication channels." "As expected," Helena replied. "Execute Operation Lightning." Across the Nexian system, the virus that Dr. Chen had spent years perfecting sprang into action. Every automated defense system, every quantum-guided weapon, every piece of technology the Empire relied on suddenly turned against them. Ships found their weapons targeting their own allies. Defense stations powered down their shields. The Nexian military, which had relied so heavily on technological superiority, discovered what it meant to face an enemy who had spent years studying and improving upon their every weakness. Marcus Wong's carefully planted infiltration programs activated throughout the Nexian Central Command. Their entire military network is compromised, he reported. They're fighting blind while we can see everything. Dr. Lai Wei's drone swarms, now evolved far beyond their original designs, swept through the Nexian defenses like digital locusts, disabling ships without destroying them. This wasn't just a battle. It was a demonstration of how completely humanity had surpassed their would-be conquerors. In orbit around Nexus Prime, the human fleet finally decloaked, revealing their true numbers and positions. The Nexian defenders, already in chaos from the systematic failure of their technology, found themselves surrounded by ships that seemed to appear from nowhere. Final status report, Helena commanded. Their primary defense fleet is neutralized, Martins replied. Minimal casualties on both sides. The virus has complete control of their military infrastructure. They couldn't launch a counterattack even if they wanted to. Helena opened a channel to the Nexian High Council. Your military has been defeated. Your technology has been turned against you. But unlike you, we do not seek to enslave or destroy. We want only to ensure that your empire never threatens another species as you threatened us. In the High Council chamber, Supreme Commander Ixlavor watched as the humans systematically dismantled every defense the Empire had believed invincible. They had spent generations building the most advanced civilization in known space, only to be humbled by a species they had dismissed as primitive. How? He transmitted back. How did you achieve this? Dr. Sarah Chen's voice answered, calm and clear. You gave us the tools of our own liberation. Every time you forced us to improve your technology, we learned. Every time you treated us as inferior, we planned. You taught us about quantum physics, and we took that knowledge further than you ever imagined possible. You thought you were creating obedient servants. Instead, you created equals who would accept nothing less than freedom. The terms of surrender were transmitted to every corner of the Empire. The Nexians would withdraw from all conquered territories. Their military would be reduced to defensive capabilities only. And most importantly, they would join a new interstellar council where all species would have equal representation. As the Nexian High Council formally surrendered, Helena looked out at the alien world below. Send word to Earth, she ordered. The war is over. Humanity is not only free. We've ensured that no species will ever again suffer what we endured. Throughout human space, celebrations erupted as news of the victory spread. But in quiet moments, those who had led the resistance remembered the lessons they had learned. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had taken their conqueror's technology and improved it. They had turned oppression into opportunity. The stars were open to humanity now, not as conquered subjects, but as equals. The Nexian Empire had sought to subjugate humanity. Instead, they had catalyzed humanity's greatest leap forward, proving once again that the human spirit could not be broken. It could only be tempered and strengthened by adversity.